Welcome back to Poser Destroyer. Today we're talking about compact discs, but a unique format, so the mini disc. So my hand is not that massive, it's that this is a very small disc. So there isn't much that differentiates 3-inch discs or maxi CDs from regular CDs, other than that they're much smaller discs and therefore they have 1/3 of the storage capacity of a regular CD. They first came out in 1987 and they were developed largely just for releasing singles. Delos Records issued the first commercially available 3-inch CDs, and what they were used for was for 20 different classical and jazz titles. The first rock or pop single on a 3-inch disc was Frank Zappa's Peaches and Regalia, which was released by Rykodisc in 1987. Initially, 3-inch discs cost less than the standard 5-inch disc to manufacture. So these can be used in basically any CD player that has the spindle attachment to it. Tray loading ones, you probably don't want to insert that into your car CD player, if anyone still has one of those, but the spindle ones, those should work pretty well on. Many early CD players needed an adapter to be able to play these, where you would need to physically place your mini disc into an adapter that turned it into a full-sized disc. So this format lost popularity in the mid-90s. It wasn't that user-friendly. Some labels even sold the mini disc in standard cases that already had the adapter included in it. Others had small cardboard gatefold sleeves or small cases like this example from the Beatles. Some packaged the large cardboard sleeves in large plastic sleeves, is shown here with a single that Prince put out for the Batman soundtrack. Now, because full-size discs are more the norm, they're also cheaper to manufacture than 3-inch discs, so 3-inch discs have largely disappeared. But you'll still occasionally see them pop up as novelty releases from extreme metal bands, and bands might use these maybe as a way to kind of do something unique when they're releasing splits or singles or short EPs. First, where did mini discs come from? Well, when a mommy CD and a daddy CD really love each other, they make a baby CD. Now let's look at some examples. They come in a variety of different sleeves and cases, so let's take a look at them in more detail. I've got, I think, 10 examples for you that we're going to look at today. Skeleton of God, Urine Garden, originally released in 1993. The incredible Colorado brutal death metal band Hideous Corpse changed their moniker to Skeleton of God in 1993, and that was the year when they released their debut EP, Urine Garden. It was originally released by Creepo Records in 93, but in 2020, Burning Dogma Records teamed up with Brute Productions to reissue it as a mini CD, so that's this one. So I prefer when the mini discs actually come in a full-size case. It's easier to keep track of it this way. But this is one of my favorites from this batch, which is Stigma's self-titled album from 1995. So Stigma were an incredible death metal band from France that were active in the 90s. This was their first release, a self-titled EP. Musically, it reminds me of when Gorguts first started getting a little weird and into disso death stuff. Other than coming on a 3-inch disc, it also came in a green jewel case, so it's one of the few times where having the original jewel case is worthwhile. If you can't find this one, their second release is more readily available and includes the entirety of the debut EP as one single track at the end of the album. Also in 1995, Repulse Records released Adramaleche's The Fall EP, which is, if you're not familiar with Adramaleche, they're one of the best Finnish death metal bands ever. And so that is the one we're going to talk about now. Repulse Records from Spain put out many classic albums, including the debut by Australia's Abremlin, Adramaleche's classic Psychostasia, and Intestine Ballism's Japanese death metal classic, An Anatomy of the Beast. Here, Repulse Records went with putting this out on this tiny CD in a tiny cardboard sleeve. The Fall has never gotten a standalone reissue, but you can find it as part of the compilation that Extreme Music put out. Uncreation, Death to Humanity. In 1995, the Spanish brutal death metal band Uncreation released the Death to Humanity EP through now-defunct Spanish label Cabala Productions. This CD is hard to come by now, but you can find the tracks included on a compilation of Uncreation works put out by Severed Records in 2011 called The Creation of Uncreation. Here's a split between Mishiha and Perfect Citizen. So I've got 2 copies of this one. In 2014, Texas brutal death metal label Corpse Crystal put out a mini split CD between Canadian brutal death grind band Perfect Citizen and Texas slamming brutal death metal band Messick. This was a paper sleeve that would open up to show the artwork and recording info from both bands. Next, we have the 2006 split between Exhumed and Ingrowing from the Czech Republic. This is a split that features a larger artwork that includes a human arm on the Exhumed side and a robotic Terminator-esque arm on the Ingrowing side. Obscene Productions put this one out, which features 2 original songs and a cover from each band. Exhumed covered Napalm Death and Ingrowing covered Regurgitate. This is the only one I've got in a mini jewel case, which is Impaled's Digital Autopsy. This is a weird one from California death grind legends Impaled. It modeled itself after a 2005 release by Cephalic Carnage, which took sections of previous songs and remixed them into 3 new songs. They called that release Digital Carnage, which was put out by Vomicore Music. 2 years later, Impaled did the same thing. Vomicore Music released 3 new songs that were made up of sections of songs from earlier Impaled releases. It was released as an extremely limited mini-disc. I've seen some conflicting information about this release too, that some list it as being out of 100 different issues, but this version that I've got, this mini jewel case version, lists this as number 20 out of 25, so an extremely limited release. Here's the first demo by Calcinated. It is a self-titled demo. It was released by Old Grinder Days in 2019. The first release from this Mexican gore grind band is the self-titled demo. It received a couple of cassette pressings in addition to this mini CDR. Here's a split from Expurgo and Pharmacist. In 2021, Bizarre Leprous put out a split between Brazil grindcore band Expurgo and Japanese carcass-worshipping band Pharmacist. It also came in a miniature sleeve with artwork for each band on each side with recording information. And then the last example I have for you is out of Japan. So this is Mortify's Buzzsaw Sickness. Japan's Mortify have distinguished themselves for having an intense worship of HM2 Swedish buzzsaw guitar tone, so it made sense that following their debut Stench of Swedish Buzzsaw, they followed it up with this EP called Buzzsaw Sickness. This is not only a mini CD, but also a shaped CD, so it's really something unique, and definitely something you do not want to put into your car CD player. It features 5 songs that clock in at just under 3 minutes total, including a cover of Life Is Not So Kind by Brazilian grindcore band Rot. There are some other examples. I'll give you one from a very popular band. Metallica had a version of their one single from 1998 on a mini CD. This was a novel release, and it also came in a miniature long box for some reason. It seems like most of the long boxes from this release haven't survived the test of time either, so good luck trying to find a mint long box from that release. So what are your thoughts about 3-inch CDs? How do you feel about this format? You can't play them in most CD players, right? So just like shape discs, they're not very practical, they're not very handy, and they're easy to lose if they're not in a full-size case, right? So if you just got these laying around, good luck trying to find them. So that's not really ideal either, but maybe there's something novel about them that can be appreciated. So do you have any in your collection? Do you have some I didn't show? Sound off in the comments. Let me know what other CD formats you'd like to see, and if there were any mini discs that you'd like to know more about. Other than that, thanks for joining us today on Poser Destroyer, and I will see you next time.